हरिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिर्व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Namaste everybody. In this video presentation I am going to tell something about Mandukya Upanishad. Before starting, I bow to Swami Sarvapriyanand Maharaj of Sri Ramakrishna Mission because he has delivered a beautiful lecture on this topic. This is available at YouTube. The link is provided below. One can go there and follow it. Here there are first two verses on the screen. Om ityetat aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakhanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yaccha anyat trikalaatitam tadapyomkara eva sarvam etat brahma ayamatma brahma soyamatma chatushpat. These are the first two verses, and there are totally 12 such verses in this Upanishad. Only 12 verses. This is the tiniest Upanishad, smallest Upanishad, but the information is tightly packed. So this is a very important Upanishad. I don't go verse by verse. I just try to give the essence of this Upanishad. Let me continue in the next page. Okay, what actually Mandukya Upanishad is going to tell? Mandukya Upanishad is going to tell about something called Brahman, which is the fundamental reality of this universe. Brahman is the fundamental reality of universe, and Mandukya Upanishad is going to teach about that fundamental reality, Brahman. Before that, what is fundamental reality? See here are some pots with different shapes and different sizes. Suppose I ask you, what is the material from which all these pots are made of? You say clay. From clay all these pots are made. They may be of different sizes, different shapes, but the material is only one, that is clay. From a single clay all these varieties of pots are made. In the similar way, in this universe we see vast diversity. Starting from galaxies, there are stars, sun, moon, and our earth. On this earth there are mountains, ocean, trees, plants, landscape, flowers, animals, insects, so on and so on, living creatures, non-living creatures, so on, with different shapes, different colors, different sizes, different qualities, properties, and so on. When seeing all these things, a question arises: is there any single material from which all these things are made of? Just like all these pots with different shapes and size are made of a single material called clay, all these things in this diverse universe are made up of a single material. Which is that material? That material is called fundamental reality. Actually we may call it as fundamental particle, but it is not fundamental particle. I will talk it later. So if there is a single material, single matter, or something from which all these things in this universe are made of, then that is called fundamental reality. And philosophers, especially of Vedanta Darshana, the branch Vedanta Darshana philosophers, they have named it as Brahman. Here, Brahman stands for, the meaning of Brahman is vast. This is very vast. So, Brahman is the fundamental reality of this universe, and Mandukya Upanishad try to explain Brahman, how it introduces some techniques to understand what is Brahman, what is the nature of that Brahman, and so on. Let us meet in the next page. In the last page, we asked a question. What is the fundamental material from which everything is in this universe is made of? In history, man has adopted several techniques to find answer to this question. Melting the object, cutting the object, splitting the object, dissolving one object in another liquid, heating, melting. And nowadays we have scanning, CT scanning, ultrasound scanning, so on and so on. Mankind has adopted several techniques to find what all these things in this universe is made of. Out of these techniques, the cutting and splitting technique is a popular technique. It is called as reductionism. Here what we do is we take something, we cut it and see what is inside. Again we get something, we cut it, split it and see what is inside. Thus science heavily depends upon this technique called reductionism, and nowadays we know that the matter is made of molecules, and molecules in turn again made of atoms, and atoms are made of nucleus at the center and electrons revolving around it, and this nucleus again is made of protons and neutrons. These protons and neutrons are again made of quarks. Thus if you continue this process, at the end, according to physics, we get there are 9 fundamental particles, including Higgs boson. These are the fundamental particles according to modern physics. But are they fundamental? They are the end particles? No. Physicists say no, they are also made of something. They call it as strings. What are strings? Are they particles? No, they are not particles. They are mathematical structures. That's why I told in the last page that the ultimate thing, we cannot call it as fundamental particle and we call it as fundamental reality. This is because that thing need not to be a particle. It may be something else. It may be something like a wave, or it may be something like a field, or it may be something else. We don't know what it is. That is why this is called as fundamental reality. And in philosophy, oftenly it is called Sat. We say Asato ma Sadgamaya, lead us from unreality to reality. That means what actually we are seeing, this diverse universe, this is not real. This is an illusion, and the ultimate reality is something else we don't know. And we believe this unreality as real, and this is the reason of all our difficulties and sorrows. Once we know the reality, then all these difficulties and sorrows goes, and we can attain happiness. That is why we say Asatoma Sadgamaya. Asat, from unreality, lead us towards reality. And Mandukya Upanishad introduces a technique to understand that reality, fundamental reality. Let us see what is the technique in the next page. I want to know Brahman, but where shall I get Brahman? See, I want salt. Where shall I get it? The answer is, go to the ocean, you get salt. Or you go to a grocery store, you get salt. In the similar way, If I want Brahman, Mandukya Upanishad says there are two best things, best places where you can get Brahman. The first thing is Omkara. Omkara is nothing but Brahman. Omkara is composed of Brahman, the fundamental reality. And there you can get Brahman and you can experience Brahman, you can understand Brahman. Om itetat aksharam. Om is aksharam. Aksharam means vanishing, which can be destroyed. Aksharam means never vanishing. You cannot destroy it. Om is something which you cannot destroy, which never vanishes. It is eternal and omnipresent. And idam sarvam tasya upavyakyanam. Idam sarvam means everything in this Mandukya Upanishad is about its explanation. Bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva. What has happened in the past, what is happening now, and what will be happening in the future. Everything is Omkara. Everything is hidden in Omkara. Yacha anya trikalatitam tadapyomkaram. If something else beyond this past, present and future, that is also Brahman. So, Omkara is composed of Brahman, the fundamental particle. So, by studying Omkara, by practicing Omkara Upasana, you can understand Brahman. This is the first thing or first place where you can get Brahman. This Omkara is composed of three sounds. Varna, we call in Sanskrita Varna. Akara, Ukara and Makara. When you pronounce Omkara, you start with Akara, then slowly there is a transition to Ukara, and again a transition to Makara, and this Makara is followed by a silence. You follow this transition from Akara to Ukara, Ukara to Makara, and Makara to silence. And what Mandukya Upanishad says, if you follow this track, you can guess what is Brahman, the fundamental reality. You may not understand at this point, but don't be disappointed. The second thing, or second place where you can get Brahman, that is Atma, the self. Sarvam etat Brahma, everything in this universe is Brahman. And Ayam Atma Brahma, this self is also Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahma, this self. I am also Brahman, you are also Brahman. And by studying this self, yourself, by studying yourself, you can understand what is Brahman. And that Soyam Atma Chatushpat, that self, the self is Brahman. Study the self, study yourself, and you can get Brahman. And that self, it is made up of four layers, Chatushpat, four components, four parts. And there is a close similarity between Omkara and Atma, the self. Omkara has three sounds followed by silence. In the similar way, the self, Atma, self, yourself, is made up of four layers, and there is a close similarity between these two things, and by this you can understand what is Brahman. See, studying the self, how to study the self? Who are you? Who am I? Am I this body? Or am I mind? Or am I intellect? Or consciousness? Who am I? See, every man, every common man in his day-to-day life, he go through three states. The first is the Jagrata Avastha, or awakened state. Now I am in awakened state. In this state, I experience this world with the help of through my senses. I see this universe with my eye, I hear the sound through my ears, I smell it, I taste it, I touch it. Thus, I experience this world through senses. I am the experiencer, I am self the experiencer, and observe this experiencer in the awakened state. Then in the next state, when I go to sleep, suppose that I have a dream. In that dream also I have some experience. And there is, once again, I am the experiencer in the dreaming state. Study the nature of this experiencer in the dreaming state. And when from dreaming state I will go to deep sleep. In this deep sleep or sushupti, again there is an experience. You may say there is no experience in the deep sleep, but philosophy says yes, there is an experience of blankness. At this moment, simply agree this. I am not going to explain it or argue it. Suppose that in the deep sleep there is an experience of blankness and you are the experiencer in that sushupti or deep sleep state. Now, what Mandukya Upanishad says is observe the change in the experiencer in this transition. Observe the experiencer in the awakened state. Then observe the experiencer in the dreaming state. What is the change in the experiencer? And then go again from observe the experiencer in the dreaming state and then observe the experiencer in the deep sleep state. What is the change? And follow this logic. Then you can guess the next state. What will be the experiencer in the next state? This is the fourth state or Turiyavastha. That will tell you what is Brahman. That is actually what is Brahman. Here what happens? Every time I have to say the experiencer in the Jagrata Avastha or experiencer in the dreaming state or experiencer in the Sushupti or deep sleep state. Instead of this, Mandukya Upanishad uses three generalized names. Just like in mathematics we assign some variables x, y, z to the unknown quantities. Here Mandukya Upanishad assigns three names. Let the experiencer in the awakened state be Vaishvanara. Let us call this experiencer as Vaishvanara. Similarly, let the experiencer in the dreaming state be Taijasa. Let us call this experiencer as Taijasa. And let the experiencer in the deep sleep state be Prajna. Now, Mandukya Upanishad explains the nature of Vaishvanara, the experiencer in the Jagrata Avastha, and it explains the nature of Taijasa, the experiencer in the dreaming state, and Prajna, the experiencer in the deep sleep state. Vaishvanara, Taijasa, and Prajna. These are three layers of you. You are the experiencer. You experience this in this world in awakened state, then you are Vaishvanara. And when you go to dreaming state, you experience this world, then you are Taijasa. And when you go to deep sleep, then again you experience something, blankness, then you are Prajna. And Mandukya Upanishad explains the nature of Vaishvanara, you the experiencer in the awakened state, and it then explains the nature of Taijasa, you the experiencer in the dreaming state. Then it explains the nature of Prajna, the experiencer in the deep sleep state. And if you continue this logic, at the end there is a fourth state and you are the experiencer in that state. That is Atma, that is the self, that is the real self. Underneath all three states there is a fourth state, and this is the real you, the experiencer in the fourth state. If you imagine what will be your nature in the fourth state by following this logic and this logic, here from U and Ma to silence, and here Awakened state, experience in the awakened state, experience in the dreaming state, and experience in the deep sleep state, and follow this logic, continue this logic, and guess what is your nature in the next state. That is Atma. That experiencer, you, that experiencer in the fourth state is the self, real self, and that state is called fourth state. This is the logic put forward by Mandukya Upanishad to understand Brahman. In the later verses, Mandukya Upanishad explains the Vaishvanara, what is Vaishvanara, what is Tejasa, what is Prajna, and ultimately underneath all these layers there is the real you, and try to understand it. It is an abstract thing, very tough to explain, and I have some language problems, so I don't think you got it, but don't be disappointed. In the next page I will show you some other analogy, and let us make it more clear in the next page. Now we are at the climax. Let us focus on self. Let us study the self. What is self? Who am I? I am the experiencer. I experience this universe. This universe is being experienced by me. So this universe is the object and I am the subject. I am the experiencer. And let us study this experiencer in three states. First is the awakened state or Jagrata Avastha. In this Jagrata Avastha, who is the experiencer? How do we experience this universe? We experience this universe through our senses. We see through eye, hear through ears, smell through nose, tongue, touch. Thus, we can say that perception and experience is happening at the body level. In the awakened state or Jagrata Avastha, the perception and experience appears to be happening at the level of body level. So, it appears that body is the experiencer. So, we think that I am this body. Let this experiencer who is sitting in the body level, let us call him as Vaishvanara. And this Vaishvanara is Bahiprajnaha, is outwarded. He experienced the external world. So, okay, in the awakened state, experience and perception is happening at the body level. So, it appears that I am the body. Now, I go to sleep, and in the sleep, I have a dream. In that dream, I am hearing a sound. Again, I am experiencing a sound. But is there sound in the real world? Or is my ears are actually hearing the sound? No. The senses are shut down. The Vaishvanara is sleeping. He is not active. He is not experiencing anything. But I am experiencing something. Then who is this experiencer? Where is this experience is happening? Now the experience is happening at the layer of mind. In the dreaming state, experience is happening at the layer of mind. It is not at the body. Oh, now I realize that mind is the experiencer. So I am the mind. I am not the body. Now I correct it. I am not the body. Body is not the experiencer. I am the mind who is experiencing this universe. Now the Vaishvanara, I am not Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is my outermost shell, and I am, let this experiencer be Tejasa. Then I am Tejasa. Now I decide that I am not Vaishvanara, I am Tejasa. Okay, after this state, I go to deep sleep. Now, what about that sound I am hearing in the dream. Is there that sound? No. In this state, there is no experience. I don't experience the external world. Whatever may be happening in that world, I don't experience it. And even in this state, I don't have any story in my mind. No story running in the mind, no experience. But when I come out of deep sleep, I say, oh, I had a sound sleep. Now I am relaxed. That means I have experienced something in deep sleep. Then who is this experiencer and where this experience is happening? In the awakened state, experience is happening at the body level, but when I go to the dreaming state, the experience is happening at the mind level. And when I go to deep sleep, there is no body, no mind. Body is not active, mind is not active. Still I have an experience. Where that experience is happening? The experience is happening at the level of consciousness. So it appears that consciousness is the experiencer. So I am the consciousness. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am consciousness. Or on the other hand, if this experiencer is prajna, then I say I am not Vaishvanara, I am not Taijasa, I am actually prajna. And this is the real me. But Mandukya Upanishad says, no, it is not the end point. There is a state even beyond this state. Even beyond this state of Sushupti or deep sleep, there is another state. If you enter into that state, what will be your experience? See, suppose that you have a headache, there is a lot of pain you are experiencing. But if you go to the deep sleep state, do you experience that pain? There is no pain. When you go to deep sleep state, from the awakened state, there is no pain. Suppose if you go beyond this state and enter into the next fourth state, what will you experience? There is no experience of pain. There is no experience of joy, no experience of happiness. There is a constant experience. And this Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vijñeya, and this fourth experiencer, the experiencer at the core is you. And all other three experiencer, Vaishvanara, Taijasa and Prajna, they are not you. Vaishvanara is the outermost shell, Taijasa is the next shell, and Prajna is the next shell, and you are at the core. You are the real experiencer. Then, what will be the nature of this experiencer? We have explained the nature of Vaishvanara, nature of Taijasa as Antah Prajna, and nature of Prajna, Ubhayata Prajna. Then, what is the nature of this Atma? This Atma is Achintyam, Agrahyam, Avyaktam, Avyapadeshyam. You cannot see it, you cannot think about it, you cannot characterize it. Why? See, our eye can see everything in front of us, but eye cannot see eye itself. In the same way, you at the core, the real experiencer, you are the real experiencer, Atma, and you can see everything in the external world, and you can see this Vaishvanara, you can see Taijasa, you can Prajna, but you cannot see yourself. So, the real you cannot see it, you cannot think about it. It is not an object, it is a subject. If you can see it, if you can think about it, then it is an object. But it is not the object, you are the subject, so you cannot see it, you cannot think it. It is nirguna, it has no qualities. And what will be his experience? See, Vaishvanara experiences the external world. So there is joy, sorrow, happiness, and so other things. Taijasa experiences the inner world, and Prajna, he also has an experience. That's Ananda book. There is no sorrow, but there is happiness. But what will be his experience? He he will have a constant experience. Tita prajnaha. There is no joy, no sorrow, no happiness, no unhappiness, no plus or no minus. He will be constant. If so, how do he participate in these worldly things? See, suppose sometimes what happens in the school, teacher is teaching, students are taking down the notes, hearing, but there is a student, he has kept his eyes open. He appears as if he is hearing to the teacher, but he is thinking, he is dreaming something else. He is dreaming about his girlfriend or something else. This doesn't happen. That means, being awakened, he is in the dreaming state. In this similar way, this person who has realized that I am not all these three, and he is in an awakened state. Being awakened, he is aware of his true nature. For us, he appears as a dreamer. He don't react to these worldly things just as we react. Our worldly things don't disturb him. The gold, money, asset, and all these things don't disturb him. He will be constant. And he do all the jobs. Unselfish karma. He participate in this world, this drama, without any expectation. It is my duty, and he go on doing his job. So he don't have any pain, don't have any sorrow. Yes, there is pain, there will be sorrow, but all those things are experienced by Vaishvanara. He don't experience. I have no pain, I have no sorrow, I am constant being. This is his experience. Thus, if one realizes that I am not body, I am not mind, I am not consciousness, I am something else at the deepest level, then he will get rid of all sorrows and difficulties, and he will be happy forever. This is the essence of Mandukya Upanishad. I will stop here, and if you are delighted by this stuff, you follow some expert and dive deep into the world of this philosophy. Good luck, happy journey.
Om